Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters. I am Jennifer and this is my knitting and nattering video podcast. If you are a new viewer, hello and welcome. If you're a returning viewer, hi, welcome back. I do have a few new subscribers since last time. I know a few episodes ago I said I'd reached 20 subscribers. By the time I uploaded the episode, I was already back down to 19. And then after I uploaded the last episode, I had a bit of a wobble on Twitter and a bunch of people were like, I didn't even know you had a podcast. Let me subscribe and let me watch. And so, hi, thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Hi, I feel a bit less like Jenny No Mates. Although, you know, having to cry on Twitter to get followers is still pretty pathetic, but I'm okay with being pathetic because that's who I am. But yeah, hi. Welcome. Did somebody just walk by the back? I don't know, I saw a reflection. I apologize if I am not looking at the camera. I am still trying to get used to the new pad I got for my birthday. The screen's a bit bigger, so it's more noticeable that I was looking at myself and not at the camera. I have added a little sticker, it's a little teddy bear that I put right next to the camera so I can look at the teddy bear sticker, and hopefully that will keep my eyes in the correct direction. I will say talking to the camera feels a lot weirder than talking to myself, even though I'm still talking to myself. Hello. That was a bit of a digression just to get started. Today it was a pigeon. That's what I was seeing. I could also see it. I could see it behind me a little and also in the reflection of the windows over there. Today is the 25th of June. It is Friday, the 25th of June, and it is the last day of the term for the school year here in Scotland. So I have to pick up my children in an hour and 15 minutes. There are pigeons flying all over out there. Very happy pigeons. It is also raining, so if you can hear the rain, I'm sorry. It's just drizzling a little bit right now. 25th of June, I'm wearing a jumper and a scarf. What's up with that? We did have some lovely weather, but it is not lovely right now. If the rain gets heavier and you can hear it, I'm very sorry. I only have this limited time to get this podcast in, and let's hope I can do it. I've got my tea. I'm drinking Bell's Breakfast from Bird and Blend. Yes, I'm just like every other UK podcaster drinking my Bird and Blend tea. The Bell's Breakfast was from a literary collection, children's stories that they did a few years ago. It's a rose flavored tea. I really like it. And they brought it back recently for a limited re-release. And so I bought a whole big tin. I feel like I used to be able to buy like Twinings rose tea, and I haven't been able to find it, and I'm not very happy with Twinings right now anyway because they donate to the Tories. Yeah, just squeezing a little politics in there because everything is political. Sorry, I'm a bit manic and I'm a bit all over the place. I'm just really excited at the idea that someone might actually watch my knitting podcast who actually knits, and you know, that's very exciting for me. I have been doing a slightly different format recently where instead of doing all of the finished objects, all of the works in progress, new things, acquisitions, I've been doing it kind of grouped by knit along, which is fine, except this week it's the middle of the month. I mean, it's not, but it's the middle of the month, so I don't have moving on projects. But to start with, I have a finished object for the Confident Knitting Knit Along that's run by the Arnold Colorford Knitwear. I don't even know what to call them. Collective? Can we call them a collective? There's 4 of them now. That sounds like a collective to me. I don't know what's up with me today. Not enough tea, too much tea. It could be anything. This is the Patina Scarf. That's Patina, right? Yep. Patina Scarf by Jeanette Sloan. And it has a slip stitch texture and then this beautiful embroidery. My embroidery, not as beautiful. That's because this is my first time embroidering on knitwear. That's this month's technique, embroidering on knitwear. And I eventually decided that perfection is the enemy of done. And see, now I'm looking at myself so I can see what the camera is showing. There we go. But I didn't do as much embroidery as is suggested, but I kind of followed a bit. There are YouTube video tutorials for the 3 different stitches: the running twisted chain stitch, the French knots, and the non-running chain stitches. And those are all available on the Arno Colorford YouTube channel, or they're linked on their website. Then if you join the knit along, which is just, you can either just participate or you can buy the Confident Knitting book and then you get all the patterns. The book's not out yet, so you just get a digital pattern each month. And then you also get pictorial instructions. If you're not a video person, you're probably not watching this. But if you're not good at learning if you prefer written instructions to video instructions, that's included in the book. I'm going to say a lot today. Apologies in media res, really. Almost said again. But yeah, you can either watch the videos and make anything you want. You can buy the yarn kits and do the patterns with the suggested yarn. You can use your own yarn. You can do a different pattern. As long as you use the technique, participation is all that counts. You don't have to finish, although having, like, in order to do the knitting, I kind of had to, or the embroidery, I had to finish the scarf. But yeah, it's really open and inclusive and fun, and that's on their website. So yeah, the next month's pattern comes out probably next week. I don't know what day. Today's only the 25th. The week after, maybe. I don't even know when July is right now. I'm used to thinking that school's done like the first week of July, but I guess because they started earlier last year, like going into the school year, they started a bit earlier, so they're getting out a week earlier. I don't know. I keep thinking this is the last week in June because it's the last weekend in June, but I think there's another week. I should probably have looked at a calendar before I did this. This is my Patina Scarf by Jeanette Sloan, and my 8-year-old has already commandeered it. She saw it blocking and said she absolutely loved the way the colors fade, the gradient shift. The yarn is Gradient by Shoppel-Wolle, because I don't think I mentioned that, and I don't remember what the color is. It might be Fan Block. It might be Spring something. But she saw it when I had it blocking, and she said it was beautiful and could she have it. So I said yes, and then my 4-year-old said it was beautiful and could she have it. And I said no, because it turns out the 4-year-old just liked the pink. That was the bit she liked. So I will make her something a little smaller at some point. I don't think she'd even wear a scarf. Then my 8-year-old did wear this around the house yesterday, and then when she went to see if she could play with the neighbors, she wore it outside then. I wonder if that's why it's rolling up so much, because it got wet and then maybe it dried. I don't know. I did block it flat and it is rolling up, but I don't think it's a big deal. So yeah, that is my first finished object. I do not have the whip for the next month to go into for that. So my next knit along is Sharon of the SCR1 TNO Knitting Podcast is doing her Stripy sock along, a year-long sock along. She has changed the rules slightly, where she's adding a grand prize at the end of the year if you knit 11 socks, because it started in February. If you knit 11 socks, there are 2 categories where if you've done all of each month, there's a selection of dyers and a commercial dyer. if you do all 11 of those, you get entered in one drawing, and if you have just 11 socks but they're not all the dyers and commercial ones, then there's another one. Details on her blog or her podcast. My first finished sock. Yay! I think I was just about there last time we spoke, because I had knit down to about there and realized my sock was too tight. I forgot that West Yorkshire Spinners, this is West Yorkshire Spinners from the Winwick Mum collection, the first one, which was like all spring colors. I bought the entire set. They're so cute. I said cute, but they're really nice yarns. And this is the second one I have knit up. But I forgot that the yarn is a little thinner than like the opal yarn and a lot of the bases that the what's the word, indie dyers tend to use tend to be just a little plumper. The West Yorkshire Spinners is on the thin side of a sock yarn, and that means I need to add extra stitches compared to when I knit with opal or yarns like that. So I ripped it back to the gusset decreases and then just didn't decrease quite as much. Knit the rest of the sock. I've got my little toe. I did an asymmetrical wedge toe because that is currently what I am liking. And the other thing I'm really proud of with this one is I did yarn boss it. I was just starting the white when it was time to pick up the gusset stitches and go round and round and round again. And so I pulled out the colorway to have it match where it came down, where it split, and then I was able to get my gradient, that is the sock way. You would not know that I took time out to knit a heel because it just keeps going, which makes me very, very, very happy. And having finished in the white, right where it's turning into the light purple, I was able to start the second sock. Sorry, my needles are in the way. These are Hayas if you're interested in what needles I use. I don't have a strong preference, though I do like the Hayas. I find the Chiagoos to be too sharp, and I keep stabbing myself. And once on this podcast, I went to put it down on my lap and actually stabbed myself in the leg. That was a lot of fun. It was not fun. But it just so happens that I was basically at the same point. So I just pulled out a small length and my socks should be fairly closely matching. And again, I'm doing the same stitch count down through the heel flap, and then I will just adjust after coming out of the gusset decreases. I will adjust it to fit better around my foot. So this one will be a bit snug around my leg as well, but that's better than having to rip out the whole sock and start over again, is where I'm at on that one. I don't remember off the top of my head who any of the dyers are for next time, but I think it's one of the indie dyers is Laura, the Lonely Knitter, and her yarn Bumbling Yarns, and I do have 2 of her self-striping balls. I mention this because I'm feeling a little full up on self-striping sock yarn. I've been doing this February, March, April, May, June, 5 months in a row. I've knit a pair of stripy socks, and I kind of feel like I want to knit something else. I mean, obviously I will have socks on the needles because I always do, and we're going into summer, which I've signed my kids up for various activities, which means I will probably be sat somewhere, possibly outside and not anywhere near where they actually are, waiting for them to be done. I don't drive, so if I drop them off somewhere, I'm just gonna have to hang out until they're done and we can all go home together. So yeah, I will probably find myself sat outside, possibly listening to an audiobook, and just knitting on socks as a nice portable project. But I'm also feeling a bit burned out on the stripy sock along. The pressure is what's feeling, I mean, I love the socks and I love participating in knitting projects, but here it is the 25th and I'm gonna have to squeeze to get the socks in by the end of the month. If I don't make it, the socks are still good for next month. You get a double entry if you use the design, the selected yarns, so I can still enter the socks next time. But there is road works happening outside and I think a truck just went by. But yes, so that's, I can enter it. I just feel a lot of pressure to finish in the month, and then like I'm not picking my projects based on what's the most fun to knit on right then. I'm trying to get these socks done, but we'll see. I do want to knit the bumbling yarn socks, and I want to knit other socks, and I want to knit solid socks with pretty patterns, and we'll see where I go from there. The next thing that I've shown you before is my corner to corner blanket. This is just my last monthly. It's only a knit along in as much as it is a yarn club. The yarn for last time was a bit later than it had normally had been the previous months. So I haven't, like the empty space at the end of the month when I'd finished the confident knitting and I'd finished my socks for May, and like I have a week of not working on those projects is normally when I do my blanket, but the yarn for this didn't arrive. My nose itches. I'm just gonna itch my nose behind the blanket. Admire the blanket while I itch my nose. So if you've seen this before, I'm sorry. If you're new, this is the Marvellous Monthly Minis from Giddy Yarns. These are the January colors. The purples through to this rosy pink. This white one, the Tutti Frutti kind of color. That's a jelly bean color. I don't know if Tutti Frutti means the same thing here in the UK. January, February, March, April, and then these are the May colors, which is this purple for the yarn over row, and then this slightly bluer one. I think they came in time to show you the colors last time, but I hadn't started adding, sorry for the crinkling. So the next three colors, just gonna have to look at myself to see if I've got them in. So it's this lighter blue with the speckles, and then the medium blue, and then the dark blue is how that color progression is going to go. Ta-da. And I am getting the 20 gram DK minis. Just try not to flash my address there. I'm doing the 20 gram DK minis for that set. I really like this kind of sunset effect. I'm normally not all that into oranges, but I really like the kind of sunset stripe effect. And yeah, so I've added these two since last we spoke, because look, there's my little progress keeper. The June colors haven't arrived yet. I know Helen of Giddy Yarns was saying they've bought a house. Hopefully everything's going to go smoothly. The last time they tried to buy a house, things that were not their fault happened, that were out of their control happened, and they weren't able to get the house they've been looking at. So they're extra nervous this time. But they are looking to move this weekend, I believe, to start moving. And Helen did say she was trying to get the yarns dyed and sent out before then. But as of recording this, I haven't got it yet. Ta-da! So yeah, loving this blanket. I mean, another reason I wasn't really working on it is because it was been, you wouldn't believe it, today, and my jumper and my scarf. And I actually had to turn the heat back on last night. It was cold enough, but it was too hot to have a big blanket over my lap while I was knitting. And the rows are getting really, really long, so you really kind of had to commit to getting all the way across in one sitting down and working on it. Instead, what has really been stealing my attention is I cast on my love note. And I know everyone and their friend is knitting a love note. Well, I have friends now, so I am someone's friend. I have subscribers is really what it is. I have my love note. This is being knit in old Maiden Aunt, one of her single merino singles in the colorway pink, held together with Fyberspates cumulus in the color ruby. And I can show you, ta-da, pink. That's PYNK. And the ruby, I just separated for the sleeves, but I've already knit a fairly good chunk. That was just last night, between dinner and bedtime. Oh dear, my needles are pulling out. Fortunately, this yarn's pretty sticky, so they shouldn't drop down. If I just pick them up, one stitch has come out. I will fix that when I knit on this again. You lost stitch? No. Okay, it is at the giant sock stage. It is just round and round and round and round. There's no waist shaping on this. It is an oversized pullover with options to make it cropped or full length. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the cropped on this because I am looking for pieces that I can layer with my dungarees. Yeah, I'm making really good progress on this one. I don't think I had I cast it on last time? If I had, I was only just starting like the first row of the lace, so it has really grown. And not itchy. I'm not doing the what's the floof, the mohair floof that some people find really, really itchy. This is the alpaca silk. The cumulus is the alpaca silk. I'm looking to see if I have a ball band, but I think it's just alpaca and silk to be fluffy. So yeah, I don't know that I've ever reacted to mohair. I know I have a hat that's a mohair blend, and it's never been particularly itchy. That has been the main part, hold on, of what I've wanted to work on lately, except on the hot days where I'm looking at my linen that I have balled up and swatched and thinking about, I haven't found the right pattern for it yet, though I have a couple that I've got open in tabs on my phone that I can think about the patterns. So when it's hot, I look at my linen and think I'd really like to be wearing a knit linen top. And when it's cold, I'm looking at my love note and thinking I'd really like to wear my love note. And I am completely ignoring my Joan jumper, which is set aside. Oh, I didn't mention my corner to corner blanket is available on Etsy. It is the Habitation throw by Curious Handmade, some super big designer that most people care a lot about, and I don't really actually know who she is at all because I mostly follow the people I interact with on like Twitter and Instagram, and those kind of things are all UK based just because I live in the UK and then I can be part of a community, as opposed to I don't tend to pay a lot of attention to people in the US. Although, oh, I've got one more project, which is by a US designer, which is Hunter Hammerson. And this is a donut. I did buy the little bugle beads to sew sprinkles on, but I don't actually have a needle small enough to go through it. I used to have a few odds and ends in beading supplies for the rare occasion when I would want to bead something. But when I moved to the UK, I got rid of most of my crafting supplies, and I have not acquired a beading needle since then. So I need to get a beading needle. I don't go out. If I did go out, I wouldn't be going to where the craft shop is. So I just haven't done that yet. So I should probably order one. When I when I order something online, I will add the needles and then I can sew on the little sprinkles and I will have a sprinkly donut. This is a test knit, but I believe the pattern comes out next week, and Ms. Hammerson always does discounts the first week of the pattern release or the first couple of days, and there's one discount on social media and a slightly larger discount for people on her mailing list. So if you want, you can sign up for her mailing list and you'll get an email when the donut pattern comes out and a discount one, because this is so cute. Look at it. And this is two other colors of cumulus held together. It's starting to rain a little harder. Two other colors of cumulus held together with some Aran weight. Now I can't remember. DK weight, West Yorkshire spinners, Air Valley DK. Air Valley DK sounds right in the nutmeg color. That is a discontinued yarn, but look at how cute it is. You can change the color to make your donut have different colored glazing, and then you can spin it around your finger. This is another one that as soon as I finished, everyone in my family was like, that's now my donut, right? But fortunately I got it back. And how did I get here? I was talking about the Habitation throw, which is on Etsy. My Joan jumper, which I'm not working on right now. I am ignoring it to do summer knits. But Christelle DK, the designer, has affirmed that she is trying to upload all of her patterns to non-Ravelry sites. She just hasn't gotten them all there. So if there's one you're looking for, you can email her and she'll try to get that one uploaded, which is honestly, I think, the best you can ask of anyone, since we are all living during a global pandemic. And yes, it has been over a year since Ravelry broke itself for so many people, but that year was a pandemic year. And most people are struggling with lots of other things, especially since knitwear designers, a lot of them, like, this is something you do because you can fit it in around the rest of your life. Not so many of the knitwear designers are full-time. Digression over. I have one more semi-finished object, which is Gnathan. And Gnathan is the Maze Mystery Gnome-AL. And Gnathan still needs a nose, although there's kind of a little bump here in my fabric, which makes Gnathan look slightly nosy, and some arms. But these are the three colors I'm using, and it looks so cute. Oh, and I think Gnathan gets a tassel as well. Look at that. And I put beans in the bottom. That's what I put in. I put beans in the bottom, but I was almost out of beans, so I don't have a lot. So Gnathan's a little unsteady on his feet. My 8-year-old picked out the colors. The mystery knit along suggestion was a 3-color gradient, and my 8-year-old wanted pink. So I picked these 3 from a set of Bumbling Yarns. Again, that's Laura the Lonely Knitter Bumbling Yarns. Just did a mini set of spring colors, and I thought they looked good together, and they do. Keeps going down the side. So yes, this is Gnathan, who just needs a tiny bit more work, but I'm already, like, even if I don't add the nose or the arms, I think Gnathan looks really good. Gnathan could be the kind of gnome that keeps their arms tucked inside their robe. It's starting to rain a fair bit heavier. There's the again. I don't know if I'll have time to go through and pull out a bunch of the ums, and then you'll just be like, why does she keep talking about ums? And I didn't hear any ums. I doubt I am that good at editing. I'm not very good at editing. I can do a little bit, but I'm not great at it. Almost said again. Family news, there's not a whole lot going on. As I mentioned, today is the last day of the school term. My children get a gift for the last day of school term that they actually got yesterday. They got scooters, and I wanted to make sure I had time to put them together before like when they were at school. So I did it yesterday when I had the longer time, and they went together really easily. And then my husband tried to steal the 8-year-old scooter, which is a full grown-up size scooter. And I was joking, our anniversary is tomorrow. I was joking that that's our anniversary sorted, but now I need to find something else for our 8-year-old. They got their gifts yesterday. They rode them to school today, and they were both really, really excited playing with them, and they're like, these work really well. And trying to avoid saying. And so they've got those. I have ordered for myself a box of the home COVID testing kits because Scotland is asking that people test twice a week just so they can catch asymptomatic people and kind of control. We've got the Delta variant here, and cases are rising fairly quickly considering that a large portion of the adult population is at least half vaccinated. I am in the half vaccinated category. So because we will be doing various things over the summer with the kids, which means we'll be interacting with different people as opposed to right now, they go to school, and that's, I've gone into town twice in the last 6 months. I had lunch outside at a restaurant in an outside patio area as one of 2 tables that were full in a fairly big area. 3 tables were full. Big area, no one was sat anywhere near us. Twice, this in the year 2021. In fact, in the entire pandemic, I've done it twice. We don't go out much. The kids go to school. I'm home. My husband works in the office in the garden, like an actual office building. He has a shed, doesn't do it justice. He has a detached office in the garden. We are not interacting with people. We have our groceries delivered. I haven't been testing because I haven't been interacting with people. But over the summer, they have 1 class a day for 5 of the 6 weeks, and the classes are usually about half an hour. But because we will be interacting with a wider assortment of people, I've ordered tests so I can do the twice weekly testing just to make sure if I am exposed to anything that I'm not spreading it around. I've done 1 test previously and I hated doing it. I was talking to one of the nursery teachers at school, and she was saying that she's been doing the twice weekly test and it does not get any easier. It's the throat swabs and you feel like you're choking, and it's bad. But it's better than living in a global pandemic and having people die or have long-term disabilities or health impacts. So it is something I am cheerfully willing to do. I wish I didn't need to, and I will be masked up and trying to stay safe, but I am ordering the tests. So that's how things are going in Scotland right now. The other thing, our 10th anniversary, my husband and my 10th wedding anniversary is tomorrow. And there is a big box that has been sat in our lounge for about a month now. It's been there for a while, which is my anniversary present. And then he gave me a box, a much smaller box that came, and said I could give it to him for our anniversary. That's the words I'm looking for. So I do not know what I'm getting. I do not know what he is getting. I have ordered a bouquet of flowers and a vegan snack pack hamper thing because my husband is he has a cholesterol condition, so he's on a low fat, high fiber diet, so he eats a lot of vegan stuff. So I figured that would be nice to have vegan snacks, so I'm not bringing in a bunch of junk food that he'll be like, I shouldn't really be eating this. And yeah, so that's our anniversary tomorrow and the end of the month and school stuff. That's pretty much it. I have done a bit of gardening. I have found I can do about half an hour of gardening and then my wrists are useless. The only problem is it's not like I do the half an hour of gardening and my wrists are like, hey, you need to stop because we're really starting to hurt now. No, it's if I do half an hour of gardening and I stop, then my wrist will be like, oh good, you've stopped, because we were feeling a lot of strain. If I keep going, like by the time my wrists send me any kind of pain indication, it is too late. So half an hour of gardening at a time, and do like half an hour and wait 3 or 4 hours and do another half hour is about the most I can push it. But I'll go outside and I'll spend half an hour just weeding whatever section catches my eye. So I'm not doing a very solid like work on one side and make it all neat. I am doing catch as catch can, which is the only way I really get anything done. Obviously it's raining right now, which is less than ideal, but when the grass and everything was really dry, it was even harder to pull out the weeds. I don't worry about weeds in the grass. I worry about grass and other things growing in like the borders and stuff. But it's easier to pull weeds from damp soil than it is from baked hard soil. That's just my observation. I suppose if it gets really, really dry and the soil turns dusty, it becomes easy again, but that doesn't so much happen. And I am kind of just blethering on about nothing. With my birthday money, I did buy a greenhouse cover to put and a little frame to put over one of our raised beds in the front, and that's the one that's got the tomatoes and the cucumbers in. And then I stuck a few little basils that I'd grown from seed. I grew the tomatoes from seed as well. I stuck a few basils in there and one pepper, some kind of chili pepper. I'm not really expecting much from them this year because we had 2 weeks that were hot and glorious and wonderful, and everything else has been dreek and cold and wet, and I mean not that much wet, but dreek and cold and not really nice. I don't think I'm gonna get a ton from my hothouse plants. Oh well. I've got a pepper and 2 basils behind the sofa here. Behind the sofa here. So hopefully, even if the ones outside don't grow very well, I could still have some basil. I really like fresh basil. It's hard living in Scotland when you want a slightly more Mediterranean diet. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. I don't know when I will be able to podcast again, since I will be home with my children. And by home, coronavirus willing, I mean we'll go out and do things from time to time. Fingers crossed. And it could be noisier. I was gonna say I could record in the evenings but the night's already starting to draw in. We're only at like 18 hours of daylight a day. That's a slight exaggeration. Although this time of year it does not get dark. We are far enough north that while the sun sets, it is basically twilight fades into dawn and then it's bright again, and it never actually got dark, which has made putting my 4-year-old to bed a bit difficult this last week in particular, but it's been edging up. The same thing happened when my 8-year-old was younger. In the summer, it was really hard to get her to go to bed at a reasonable time, just because it's still light out and you don't look around and have any external cues. So even with the lights off and you draw the curtains and that kind of stuff, it's still, and we have blackout curtains, the house itself is really bright. And yeah, it's just, the common areas don't get dark and things like that. Anyway, that's kind of where we are, and I will podcast again when I can. And it looks like Libby is thinking about coming and saying hello. Libby is my gray stripy kitty. Here she comes. Are you going to say hello before we say goodbye? Yes. Hello. Can I do that really annoying thing where I lift you up? Yeah, the really annoying thing where I lift you up? Say hi. I want to see your pretty eyes. There's your pretty eyes. Okay. My cats put up with a lot. So I need to be a cat scritcher now, and it is starting to rain, and I'm going to need to get my kids soon. So I will call this a day. I'll try to edit out the ums if I have time. If my children come home and are in good moods and aren't super whingy and steal the rest of my energy for the afternoon. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.